Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a truly unbelievable true crime story. But this one doesn't happen in some dark alley. Oh no. It takes place in the sparkling, high-rise boardrooms of corporate finance. We are looking at how a handful of executives somehow convinced the absolute smartest people on Wall Street that water could literally be turned into gold. Okay, let's dive into this. $74 billion. That is the actual scale of the illusion we're going to unravel together today. This wasn't just, a simple accounting error. It was a massive, fabricated fortune constructed out of thin air, legal loopholes, and just pure corporate audacity. To really wrap your head around how insane this is, look at this staggering contrast. Back in the year 2000, Enron was an absolute titan. It was worth more than McDonald's, Visa, and General Motors combined, the complete darling of the financial world. And then, just 1 year later, in 2001, it was worth exactly $0. They didn't just lose some value, the entire company completely vanished. So here's the blueprint of our $74 billion crime scene. 1. Building the base. 2. The magic trick. 3. The dark closet. 4. The free fall. And finally, 5. Rewriting the rules. Let's get right into it. Starting off with Chapter 1. Building the base, from pipes to trading. Let's trace how this all started. It begins down in Houston in 1985. Now, originally, Enron was just a boring pipeline company. They literally just moved natural gas through metal pipes. And hey, as we know, boring is usually profitable. But boring does not get your face on magazine covers, right? Then, in the early 90s, the U.S. government deregulated energy markets. This was the massive opening Enron's leadership was waiting for. They decided to ditch being a boring pipe company and morphed into a flashy trading firm. They stopped moving physical gas and just started moving numbers. Which brings us to Chapter 2, the magic trick, mark to market. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how they actually pulled this off. The mastermind was an executive named Jeffrey Skilling, and his weapon of choice? Mark to market accounting. Normally, a company books a profit when it actually gets the cold, hard cash in hand. But mark-to-market let Enron book the entire future hoped-for value of a 10-year contract immediately. They could just write down a massive number they hope to make a decade from now and report it as profit today, even if the cash never arrived, even if the deal ended up losing money later on. It was basically a license to print imaginary money. And once they got a hold of this magic accounting trick, they applied it to absolutely everything. They didn't just stick to natural gas. Oh no. They traded electricity. They traded weather contracts. They literally traded broadband internet space. They essentially slapped a future value sticker on anything they could get their hands on. And because they could book all those future profits immediately, their reported revenue just exploded. Wall Street investors, they couldn't get enough of it. But let's look at Chapter 3, the dark closet, hiding the debt. Because here's the thing, imaginary money doesn't pay real bills. Publicly, sure, Enron was this sparkling tower of massive profits. But behind closed doors, CFO Andrew Fastow was pulling off a massive cover-up. The real engine of the company wasn't genius trading at all. It was aggressively hiding losses. Fastow built hundreds of these tiny shadow side companies with weird names like Chuco and LJM2. On paper, they looked totally independent, but in reality, he used them as a dark closet, a dumping ground. He just shoveled billions in real debt and toxic investments off Enron's books and dumped them into these shadow entities so the parent company always looks squeaky clean. And they couldn't have done it alone, right? The illusion completely relied on enablers. The auditors looked at the books and somehow signed off. The massive banks kept lending them real money. The Wall Street analysts kept rating Enron stock a strong buy. Literally nobody outside a tiny, tiny inner circle could see the dark closet hidden behind the curtain. And the executives building that closet, well, they were getting paid massive multi-million-dollar bonuses for managing it, while the outsiders remained completely willingly fooled. Moving right along to Chapter 4, the free fall, the illusion shatters. So the crucial point is, reality always catches up. In August 2001, an Enron executive named Sharon Watkins wrote an internal memo to the CEO explicitly warning that the company could implode in a wave of accounting scandals. She was the whistleblower. This single piece of paper was the pin that finally popped the $74 billion balloon. And she was right, literally almost to the exact day. Just look at the speed of this timeline. It is pure panic. August 2001, the warning memo goes out. By October, the walls close in and Enron is forced to restate its earnings, admitting publicly that they overstated profits by hundreds of millions and hid over $1 billion in debt. The stock, which had been trading near $90 a share just a year earlier, goes into an absolute freefall. Credit agencies downgrade their debt, triggering clauses that demanded Enron pay back billions immediately. But remember, they had no real cash. So, on December 2, 2001, Enron files for bankruptcy.
We toss around words like billions a lot, but we really need to ground those abstract numbers in the devastating human toll. The shiny corporate tower was gone, and this is what was left in the rubble. At Enron, roughly 20,000 employees lost their jobs. And even worse, so many of them had their life's retirement savings completely locked up in Enron stock, which was now worth pennies. They lost absolutely everything. And the damage spread. Arthur Andersen, the massive accounting firm that signed off on the fake books, collapsed too, taking down 85,000 jobs of people who had absolutely nothing to do with the scandal.
Finally, Chapter 5. Rewriting the Rules, the Corporate Aftermath. And this brilliantly illustrates the swift justice and just catastrophic collateral damage that followed. Step 1. Jeffrey Skilling, the architect of the magic trick, was convicted of fraud and conspiracy. Step 2. Andrew Fastow, the guy who built the dark closets, pleaded guilty and testified against his bosses. Step 3. Founder Kenneth Lay was convicted, but actually passed away before he could be sentenced. And Step 4, as we just saw, Arthur Andersen was wiped off the map entirely.
The disaster was so profound that in 2002, Congress stepped in and passed the Sarbanes-Oxley Act. This single law fundamentally changed modern business auditing. It created strict new rules requiring that CEOs must personally, legally certify that their company's financial statements are accurate, under threat of severe criminal penalty. They can't just claim ignorance anymore. Enron didn't just lose money. Its shadow fundamentally dictates how every single public company operates today. Which leaves us with this final thought to ponder. Every single time a modern CEO signs off and certifies their numbers, they are doing it because of the ghost of Enron. But as we see incredibly complex new markets emerging every single day, we kind of have to ask ourselves, are the rules enough? Or could another $74 billion illusion be happening right now, hiding in some new dark closet right under our noses? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep asking questions and always stay curious.